Hello, this is Dr. Hassan Abdullah with the course Web Applications Programming. And the topic which we are covering is creating dynamic web applications, which is the last topic of the course. And this is lecture number 15, video lecture 15A. Why 15A? Because there's a lot of content and material to be covered under this topic. So we have 15A and 15B and so on. And this in 15A, what I will basically show you that how to get a free hosting account with cPanel and create databases there, populate them, and I will list all of what I'm going to show you and share with you and teach you. So that's part of 15A. And 15B, what we'll do is that the contents of the database will be displayed in a browser. So this is the basically the database tier in 15A, and in 15B would be more like the middle tier and part of the first level or the client tier. So what we'll be covering in this video would be find a free hosting service. It could be paid also. It has their own pros and cons, and it's your choice. And then we'll create a hosting account at that free service, and then of course we will access that hosting account and create a database. So once we have a database, then we will create tables in the database, and then we will populate those tables with data, and then I will run basic SQL queries. I'll show you, and run group by SQL queries also, and I will also show you how to take a backup of your database and show you the filtered queries also. So how we go about it, we go to the Google or any other search engine, and then we search for those free accounts, and then we move ahead from that point. So here I have typed the keyword free cPanel hosting, and you can see there are quite a few results here. And if I go down, so what I'll do is I'll go to the first one. I click on it and then need to register. Click on register now. Register here. Okay, I have registered. So when I registered, uh, an email was sent to my email address, and I clicked on that email address to create an account. I click on create account. Okay, and there are many hosting plans or options. I click this option, select this option, which is infinity free $0, and you can read this and click on create now. So I verify that I am a human, and this is the subdomain which I would like to have, which is COP4813. You should remember this subdomain also. Check availability. Okay, and this will be, and then need to select email consent. I approve it and I create the account. Okay, so you should remember your username, and you should also remember your password also, because that would be required for the login purposes. Okay, the account has been set. Now what is important for you is that control panel, which will allow you to perform create databases, perform database query. File manager will allow us to uh, perform operations which are written in the file. So let's restrict ourselves to these things only. So I go click on control panel, then I approve it, select it, approve it. Now the panel has been loaded, right? So what is of importance to me right now is PHP my admin. In this area, I will create tables, perform operations on the tables, and do all the interesting stuff. So you first need to create a database before you can use PHP my admin. You can do this by clicking here. I click on this. Then I say create a database. Okay, and create new database. Create database. Okay, need to give a name to the database. let's call it student. Create database. Okay, and the database has been created, right? And I click on admin, php my admin. Okay, so you can see that nothing is found here. So structure basically shows what is the structure of the database. So since there is no no tables found in database, so there's no structure. So this tab SQL structured query language, this will allow us to create tables, populate them, update them, insert in them, drop them. All right, and export will allow us to export the contents of our database to our machine, and import load from the machine. These are very useful commands. So first of all, let's create a table. So this is the command to create a table. The name of the table is student, and SID student ID is an integer, and the size of this could be 4. And auto increment means that whenever a row is inserted in the table, the student ID will be incremented automatically. Auto increment. Primary key means that this is the unique, always unique. F name is the first name, variable character size 100. You can have it up here as per your own choice. L name, last name is also variable character. Major could be smaller, say 50 characters. And flag is a boolean. I'll tell you what is the purpose of flag. Boolean means that it will have a value of 0 or 1. Image is the path of the image. Sysdate is the date, and system is the time. So let's click on the go button to create the table. Okay, so table has been created. Now if I go to structure now, it is saying that there is a say something with the 0 rows, and that something is the table student. So I click on it and the table is empty. Why the table is empty? Because nothing has been inserted in the table. So now we need to insert in the table. Now let's run this query. Press on the go button. Now let's run this query. Press on the go button. Okay, so it says that this some truncation took place. We'll look into it. So this insertion was done. So let's look at the contents of the table. So we have some entries made. As a matter of fact, one entry has been made. So the system student ID or whatever the ID is 1. First name, last name, major, flag, image, and sys date and sys time. All right. So if I go to structure, okay, so now I have this sys date and type date and sys time as type time. So I go to browse and I can edit things, and I can also make copies. So if I click on the copy, you see that there is no sys ID, but I click on go and you see that it has been copied and there's a new system ID. So now I can edit it. I click on it and I say, for example, call it semi, okay, and also call this semi. All right, so now I have these changes made, Tommy Jones and Sammy Jones, right? Okay, now let's populate this with dates now. Okay, now let's populate it with dates. So go to SQL, okay, and I can also get auto saved query, so I don't have to retype it. Now I will slightly modify this thing. Okay, let's run this query. Now for sysdate, we have sysdate round brackets. This is a command of SQL, MySQL, which will read the current date, and cur time will read the current time and assign it to the columns sysdate and systime correspondingly. So click on the go button. Okay, so one row has been inserted. Let's look at the contents. So we see that this record has been added. So Honey Maria, major is music, flag is 0, and this is the address of the image. So we have the date and we have the time also. Now of course, if I run this query after certain time, this query, So the time would also change. The date may or may not change depending upon. So I go to get auto saved query, and here I add uh, Dan, say for example, Dan, Tom, and here I add math, whatever, and here I add Dan. Okay, and I run this query. Click on the go button. Record has been added. Let's browse, and you see that the time has changed. It has taken like 10 seconds or whatever was more. So Dan, Tom, math, and the flag is set to 0. So I showed you how to add the records, right? And how to add the date, because that becomes very useful. Now let's export the contents of this small database. I go to export, and this is very useful for doing backup. And I go to go, okay, and see this database has been exported. So let's take a look how it looks like. So that database was downloaded into the downloads folder, and this is the detail about what was downloaded. And this is basically a table was created, and this is the data that was downloaded. Okay, that's the data that was downloaded. Now what I'll do is that I will make changes in this data, and so this is your backup. So what I'll do, show you that I'll make changes in this data, and then we will upload so that this data gets appended. So what I'll do is I remove all these headers from here, okay, and remove all this stuff from here, it's not needed. So this is the same, and I remove these records, right, because they are not useful. So I put, say for example, put a 0 here, put a 0 here, and I change the names here. So I've made changes in this the data which I want to upload, but remember that I have kept that command insert, because when this is uploaded, this insert command is going to run and populate the student table. You need to save it with a different name. So I've saved with a different name, which is student update, and now I go to import. So I have to select a file, choose file, and this is the, so I have selected the file which I saved with the name of student into brackets update, right, and then I do a go. All right, so successfully 2 rows were inserted. Now let's browse the database. I browse the database and see that the records hello and Danny with the ID 30 and 40, they have been added, and you see that the dates are different, but that's not the today's date. So in this way you can basically upload data, maybe in a text file or in an Excel file or CSV file, instead of retyping it. So you can upload and populate your database in this way. Very useful feature. Now of course this table can be very large. There are certain limits of MySQL. uh, you can check it with the version which you are using and the hosting service provided, but it is like tens of thousands at least. So of course we cannot go through all of this. This is a very trivial case. So let's run some queries. Okay, let's run some queries. For example, I go to SQL and I say select asterisk, means that select everything. So I select asterisk from student where, say, flag is equal to 1. I run this query. So only those records are displayed for which the flag was set to 1. Similarly, I can say where major is food or whatever. Okay, now it is very powerful features. Let's go them through one by one. I go to SQL, right, and I write another command. This is a very interesting query. What it is saying, that select the major from that column name, count asterisk, count all the records, okay, as number. So assign them the column name as number from the table student, group by major. and group based upon the measure itself. So when I run this query, what it shows me is that bio measure occurred once, food measure occurred three times, math occurred. You can read it. Of course, this can be made very powerful also. Let me show you some more examples. So this is another query. So now display the measure and the count of the measure as number. So the title will be the number from the table student where flag is equal to 0. So flag had a value of 0 and 1 and group by measure. So let's run this query and we see that now only those results are grouped for which the flag was 0. Of course, we can also view the value of the flag also. That's not a problem at all. So I go there and here I also type measure and flag just to be careful that we don't miss anything. So you see now the flag was 0. Okay. Now this and of course there are other group by clauses also there. It's very powerful. So let me show you one very powerful feature which is performing searches based upon the content. So select asterisk from student where uh, where f name like. Okay, now that's not an exact. Okay, for example, let's say where f name is equal to Dan. Okay, equal to Dan. I don't remember there was maybe a name Dan or not. So this is equal and in double quotes. So we run this query and well there was a person by the name of Dan. So we get this result. Okay, now we go back and maybe we don't remember what was the first name actually. So what I do is that in first name I put this and percentage sign, and you remember that there were some names which were ending y with my. So now I run this query. So there are no such names. Okay, so let's do a browse and see what names are there. So there was first name was MMY. Okay, so let's now do it. So I go to SQL and stay from student where first name not is equal to but like my. Now it will run. Okay, so you see that these wild characters basically with the like command we were able to get the names. Okay, the names which we didn't remember. Similarly, we can use it with the year also. So where sys date, okay, sys date like maybe in the date there was 17 occurred somewhere. So let's run this query. So yes, 17 was there. So it just scans through all of it. These are very powerful features of MySQL. So these are the table contents. Now what I'm going to do is that we are going to retrieve these contents and display in a browser. So that requires using a web connection. Thank you.